Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm ready. Oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm a little hoarse today. Hi folks. I have another little tip to share with you about film photography. It's something we did back in the old days, and by the old days I mean like back in the 70s when I was doing this, you know, as a teenager, learning some of these things, learning them from people that were doing them for 20 or 30 years before I did, and you learn some shortcuts and a few tricks along the way that can be helpful. And one of the things that was very helpful to me was when you shot film in one of these old film cameras, sometimes you didn't want to shoot that whole roll up. You wanted to get some pictures off of that roll. You know, you might have a 36 exposure roll and you've shot 10 or 12 or something like that. And you want to get those out and develop them, but you don't want to waste that unshot portion of the roll. You want to have that ready to shoot again at a later time. Get a few more pictures off that. Well, what we would do is sometimes we would want to test a camera, or we just needed a few shots of something going on at that day, or somebody would need a few pictures of some event and they would like to have them processed right away. And you know, even back then a lot of us did our own processing, one of these old tanks, some D76 or Rodinal, whatever we had to use. But anyway, we'd want half that roll of film developed. Now, traditionally, you know, you would take this camera and you would take this little crank and put it up, and you would push the release down here on the bottom, and then you'd crank this film and you'd crank it back into the canister, because the canister's here. And then you would develop that whole canister of film by taking the top off of it with a can opener in a dark room, of course, or a changing bag. But you would wind it all back into the canister. If you want to shoot a half a roll of film, you don't want to wind it all back in a canister because you won't know where to cut it at. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to cut that film. So I'm going to show you here how I do it. Now, let's say that we're going to do this. We would need to be in a dark room or in a changing bag. We cannot do this in any kind of light, and I'm sure you know that. That's just the nature of film. We should expose it to any light, we just ruined it. So the next thing we want to do is we want to have this developing tank ready. We're going to put this film in it. And I would be in the dark room and I would already have the tank laid out, and I would have everything where I always lay it in the same order so I can find it in the dark. It's pretty important to me to be able to do that. And I'd have my little reel, make sure my catches are all good. The reel's good and dry, because if that reel's wet, that film just won't feed right. I don't know why, it just don't. Never have figured that out in 40-something years I've been doing this. So next thing we want to do is we want to get that film out of there. Now I've got an old roll of junk film in here that I'm not worried about ruining. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this just like I would in the dark, but I'm doing it in a light where you can see it so I can film it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've shot my pictures that I want to get out. So I'm going to take and run another frame or two past here, okay? That way I don't cut one of my pictures in half. So I'm going to run one more picture, and I'm just going to click it right there. All right. Now I know I want to cut right on that picture that's in the back here. Now I'm going to pretend I'm in the dark room and I've got my little scissors ready. Now we're going to be very careful with these scissors that we do not go down to cut the film, because if we do, we may hit the shutter or something inside the camera. We've got to be very careful about that. Now these are not round nose scissors, but ideally you would want round nose. That way you can't puncture nothing, won't scratch nothing up. But this is what I've got handy. It's going to work today. So what we do here, we're in the dark room and it's completely dark. And we're going to do this by feel. So we're going to pull this little thing out, which lets the back of the camera pop open. Now then, also we pull it one more time and it lets us lift this film up just like you see there, right? Now, then I would take my fingers can come down like this, and I'd cut that film and set it aside. Now, I've got to get this out of the camera. So what I got to do is I got to push the film winder release right here, and that lets me start bringing it out. See, just like this, just like that. Now, at that point, I can shut the camera back up. I'm in the dark, and I know where my stuff's at. So I take my reel, I start feeding my film onto it, just like this. All right, and I find my spool for the tank, and I stick it up through there. I drop it in here. I screw my lid on my tank. I cap it up. All right, now I can turn the light back on because I'm not, my film's in this tank. It's not going, light's not going to bother, you know that. All right, so now I'd like to put the rest of this film back in the camera. So how am I going to do that? Well, we all know how to load film, but the problem is we got a flat edge right here. We need a tapered edge, just like you see on a roll of film when you buy it and first get it out. So what I like to do, just take my scissors. I'm just going to show you here. You might not be able to see this, but while I'm doing it, I like to cut me a little mark off. Let's get over here where we can kind of see it. See how it kind of come down? It's got a flat edge right there and a little notch cut out. If I can get it even closer, maybe. There you go. Maybe you can see that now. You can see that edge. I get it up there. Now you can see it. You can see that notch cut out. Now drop that roll of film back in here. Let's drop it right back in the camera. Run it over here. Turn my little thing around. I stick that little long leader piece in there. Now watch it feed down in it. See, it's feeding it now, just like it did before. Now I'm ready to shoot the rest of that roll of film. So now we've still got that half a roll right there that we don't want to lose. And we got the half we want to develop here in the tank. And we'd be ready to take this to the dark room, and we would still have film that we didn't waste. And so that's really all there is to it. The main thing is practice this a few times before you do it for real. Get you no junk roll of film. Practice like I showed here. Do it in the light where you can see what's going on. That'll help a lot. Round nose scissors will help a lot. That'll make sure you don't cut your finger, poke the camera or something. And when you got that camera open, if you got that thing up and you work it where the scissors are pointing up away from the camera, that'll help too. Round nose or not, that'll make it a lot safer. And this trick works, and it's not really a dangerous thing, but if you poke that shutter, it would be. You damage your shutter in your camera, that'd be bad. Well, that's about all there is to that trick. And, hopefully this will let you shoot a roll of film and cut it in half if you need to, develop some pictures, and save the rest. Might save you some money if you just need to get some pictures done pretty quick or something, or maybe you're just testing a camera and you don't want to burn a whole roll off on a camera test. You only need 10 or 12 pictures or less to verify the shutter speeds are right and the exposure looks good, and compare what the camera's shooting to what your light meter said and so forth. You only need a few exposures for that. You don't need a whole roll. But I hope this helps. And as always, thank you all for watching. And if you'd like to subscribe, hit the button below. And if you like this video, hit the like button. And if you have any comments, you can leave those. I'll check back on them, try to answer any questions I can. If you have any suggestions of a better way to do this, I'm all ears. I'm always looking to learn myself. I'm happy to share what I know, but I sure don't claim to know everything. And I'm always anxious to hear how somebody else might do it differently, and maybe I'll find a better way, So thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye-bye.